Rotary Peace Center is something that you heard quickly about yesterday being here. And that is something that I personally think we don't think very much about. We like it, but what are we doing? And this is the project where we are investing our money from the district to promote the Rotary Peace Center. And I'm so happy, Cynthia, that you are here and give us a short, brief information about what it's all about. Cynthia from Uganda, please. I got your mic.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cynthia, and I am actually from Nigeria. But it is fine, and it's a pleasure to meet you all. Permit me to speak in English. I'm still undergoing tutelage for my Swedish lessons. So I'm briefly been speaking today. Just give a brief introduction about myself, and then also about the Rotary Peace Fellowships, and specifically the Rotary Peace Center, and then hone in on the Rotary Peace Center in Uppsala, the amazing work that Rotarians are doing in support of the center, and then also why the center is different from every other center in other parts of the world. Just to quickly talk about me, you already know my name is Cynthia. I'm from Nigeria. I had a background in law. And then I did a master's in governance and public policy from the University of Queensland. But in my work on GBV prevention and women's rights, one thing stood out, and that was the intersections between conflict situations and then sexual violence. And that was what motivated me to pursue a master's in peace and conflict studies. Later on, I will speak about why I specifically chose Uppsala. And this is my first time in Europe and Sweden. This was the picture that I took after surviving the Swedish winter. I recall sending my mother a call, and I said, "Mom, I'm now Swedish. I survived the winter." Okay, the Rotary Peace Fellowships. Actually, it began in 2002. And then since commencement, the Rotary Peace Centers globally have trained more than 1,500 fellows who are now working in over 115 countries. The Rotary Peace Center is designed basically for leaders who work with work experience in peace and development. So it's more like a targeted project to ensure that we get the right people for the right seats, and then who will utilize the skills gotten from the peace centers to do incredible work, either in their individual countries or in their chosen careers. And each year, the Rotary Foundation awards up to 50 fellowships for master's degree, and then also 80 for certificate studies at partner universities. I wanted to also distinguish that for the Rotary Peace Centers, there are some that are basically for the training in masters in peace and conflict studies, while some others have to do with professional certificate courses. So it depends on what you want as a person. So for others who have had a previous master's degree training, or who just want to learn about peace in their personal career path, many go for the professional certificate courses. But if you had a bachelor's and you want a more detailed training, in peace and conflict, then you study the master's. And then for the master's university projects, these are the universities who are undertaking the master's degree. So we have the Duke University in the United States. We have the International Christian University in Japan. We have the University of Bradford in England, the University of Queensland in Australia, and lastly, Uppsala University in Sweden. For the professional certificate courses, we have the Makerere University in Uganda, and then the Chula Lokom University in Bangkok, Thailand. So it depends on what you as a person wants that will inform your learning within these universities. Particularly the Rotary Peace Center in Uppsala. This was created in 18th of September 2012, and key to the center's founding was the Department of Peace Conflict Research co-founder, Peter Walliston. He was then the Dag Hammarskjöld's chair. I recall reading about him, and when I came to Uppsala and had him lecture me, it was really very delightful to finally meet him in person. The Department of Peace and Conflict Research hosts the Uppsala Rotary Peace Center. And then the focus has been basically in learning about the causes, the dynamics, and the resolution of armed conflict, with a particular interest on interstate conflicts. Why we said interstate is because since the end of the Cold War, there has been a shift from interstate to intrastate, even though the trends currently has changed with the development with Russia. But basically, anything involving conflicts and studying the dynamics, especially strengthening early warning mechanisms, we learn basically about that at the Rotary Peace Center. And then why Uppsala? One thing we've discovered is that Uppsala is distinct because Uppsala houses the Uppsala Conflict Data Program. So it's one of the world's most greatest provider of data on organized violence. A lot of universities are partnering with the Rotary Peace Center to glean data from there. And then it also hosts VIEWS, which is an early warning system. So Uppsala also focuses on a strong research approach. In other words, that the department has established itself as a key producer of cutting-edge research and a provider of high-quality data on conflict for either policymakers, for practitioners, or even for researchers as well. There are thousands of partnerships. The Rotary Peace Center is forging with not only universities, but also policymakers and practitioners who are gleaning on the data from the UPC, the RPC. And the program is basically designed to equip practitioners and academics with analytical tools that will be relevant for you. So for students, basically, aside from learning the causes and dynamics of armed conflict, we are privy to have a host of good data that we can also use and rely on. And then also in terms of equipping students with the skill sets that are important for learning about early warning mechanisms and strengthening early warning mechanisms. That is actually what is key, because a lot of initiatives have been focusing on resolving conflicts, but I love the dimension of Uppsala. So Uppsala is now thinking about the lines of, strengthening early warning. So before conflict escalates, you can, pick up the signs, and then you can know how to approach it and mitigate and act prior to escalation. And these are my fellow Rotary Peace members as well. So this was just to give a brief of the number of people in my cohort. So from the far left, this is Maza from South Sudan. The lady in yellow is Maggie from the United States, and the lady in the hijab is Amina from Kenya. Munu is beside her from India, and then we have Daniel from Mexico, and Noha from Egypt, and Catalina from Colombia, and lastly Fahiha from Bangladesh. It's quite a broad group of people, and we've had a lot of learning from each other, coming from different contexts, coming from different climes. It has been not only learning from the school, but also learning from each other with regards to the project. And that is something that I find remarkable, about the Rotary Peace Fellowship, the fact that you can also learn from each other in terms of the peer-to-peer learning. Not only that, I wanted to talk about why I ended up in Uppsala. So looking at my career background, and then also looking at the fact that there were gaps, in trying to understudy the dynamics between gender and then also conflict, I was inspired, to pursue a master's degree in peace and conflict studies. And looking at it critically, I felt Uppsala was the best for me. Why? Because one, there was the robust academic training from people who had a wealth of experience in not only research, but also in practice as well. And then especially with regards to gender and armed conflict, there is a course specifically from that offered at the Rotary Peace Center that is not in any other peace center globally. And then the fact that there is the applied field experience that gives you like an internship opportunity where you can go, intern with an organization and glean, from their own practices, as well as, introduce what you've learned in terms of applying the theoretical concepts, and then also helping, provide your skill sets with regards to the work. And then also in terms of the networking and the peer-to-peer learning that we talked about. One thing I wanted to say is that the Rotary Peace Center has invested greatly in fellows. A lot of people have left the Peace Center, driving change within their individual communities, their workplaces, and that is something that is key for me. Recently, when the university celebrated the 50 years anniversary, we had a Rotary Peace Fellow who was working with the Red Cross come to speak to us, and he's currently involved in providing humanitarian support at the Ukraine conflict. So a lot of people are doing amazing things with the skills that have been gotten from the center. And that would not have been possible if we didn't have the support of Rotary. And so I'm standing here to say that I am a beneficiary of the amazing and incredible work that you have been doing, and we greatly, greatly appreciate you, because it's a privilege that we stand here to say that this is what we learned. Many of us came here, without really much exposure about some of these concepts, but we are taking a lot of lessons learned that we can apply, not only in our career path, but also in our individual life. In fact, there was a joke, someone said that perhaps maybe Putin would have been a part of this, RPC Center. Who knows that maybe he might have been able to think differently. Well, we don't know yet. But in terms of next steps, for me, I came here with just, about to just glean the knowledge. But looking at it deeply, I think that I might go back to a PhD, and then also from a PhD, be able to go back to my home country and apply the skills that I've learned. This is where I want to end the presentation to say, if you have any questions, you can meet me or you can contact me via email. Thank you, and it's amazing speaking with you.
Thank you, Cynthia. I can tell you that we are so pleased to survive the winter. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the pleasure to have you here.